Welcome back, WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and WNST.net. Good thing I am caffeinated with our friends from Royal Farms Coffee today, because this guy, he's working his own style. Ron Jaworski's here, the Polish Rifle. First thing you wanted to do, you came to me and I'm all wired up and you wanted to hug me. So I'll give you a hug.
There we go.
There we go.
We got to get this on camera. Is that what you're trying to do?
No, because you're a Vermeil guy, you know. And Vermeil's, you're a hugger. So it's good to see you.
Good to be with you, man. All good?
Yeah, man. I mean, we did, about 11, 12 years of Joe Flacco's the man. He's the man. I'll draw it up. And now we got Lamar Jackson. So we got the whole next era of what this is going to be. We're disappointed, you know what I mean, in this Montana Super Bowl thing here. I mean, obviously, we're licking our wounds, but we know there's a window here in Baltimore. But Lamar took us a long way this year. It's an exciting year.
He's an incredible talent, and John Harbaugh has done an unbelievable job making the transformation from a Joe Flacco offense, prototypical NFL pocket passer, to this wide-open run-and-gun NFL led by Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson, maybe a Deshaun Watson in the mix. And by the way, Jimmy Garoppolo outside the pocket is about as good as it gets as well. He's kind of the forgotten guy as we talk about these mobile quarterbacks and plays outside the pocket.
We did 3.5 days of radio, and his name never came up. I had Billick here, and I said, I'm just going to throw it out because no one's mentioned. No one has said Jimmy Garoppolo to us. You're the first one to mention it in the beginning of a segment.
Well, I look at the tape.
There you go.
The eye in the sky.
The eye does not lie, man. Come on, we know that.
Well, are we not talking enough about him?
We're not.
Okay.
We're not. In fact, I'm working Radio Row, and everyone's first thing is Mahomes. You walk out on the street, Mahomes. Hey, Patrick is phenomenal. Don't get me wrong. He deserves all the acclaim. But Jimmy Garoppolo had a magnificent season. Now, wait, the playoffs, they ran the football because they could. They're going to have to make some plays in the passing game this week if they're going to win the Super Bowl. And I think Jimmy Garoppolo clearly can make those plays. And he's going to have to make them because they're going to need explosive plays. But he's been a pinpoint deep passer. He's been very good on third down, which is, to me, the money down in football. If you're good on third down, you move the chains. And outside the pocket, he's made plays. And it's not TV tape. You look at plays that are made. When I look at the coaching tape, all 22, he's made some plays that if Patrick Mahomes made them, it'd be, highlight tapes. Garoppolo makes them. It's almost like, he made a play. He has not gotten the attaboys that I think he deserves for his play this season.
He had a 102 passer rating this year, and I know that's not everything, but
that's phenomenal.
And he's an afterthought, which is
and they were really good, and they won, and they won at home, and they held serve, and they won the 2 games that Lamar couldn't win, and that Tom Brady couldn't win, right?
Yeah.
So I give them all the credit in the world for being here, but they are a little bit of a sleeper team, the 49ers,
Yeah, if you look at their defense, I wouldn't say they're a sleeper. If you look at the way they've run the ball in the playoffs, I wouldn't say they're a sleeper. They just haven't been this dominant team. I mean, the dominant team was Baltimore.
Yeah.
That was the team. Hey, let's be realistic here. Everyone thought it would be the Ravens the way their regular season played out. Not only Lamar, but they ran the ball, explosive plays. Defense was much improved. That was the team, I think, if you'd have asked everyone that's at Radio Row now, who'd you expect to be here, I think most people would have said the Ravens.
My man, the Polish Rifle, Ron Jaworski here, talking all things Wounded Warriors. We have the Mueller folks here. I want to give them some love in sports medicine.
Oh, please do.
And I want to give the Walmart.com people a shout-out as well because they're the ones that bring you by here this year. This thing's been going on forever. We talk about veterans coming back, where the country is, where the politics is, but guys left behind that gave all, and y'all come down here and play a football game, and
we do a flag football game.
Absolutely.
We do a Wounded Warrior game, and man, if you want to get some tears in your eyes, and watch these guys with blades on their for legs and running around playing football, and they sacrifice that for us, so we could do what we do. So definitely. We are deeply indebted to Wounded Warriors and their game, and Mueller Sports Medicine has done a phenomenal job supporting that game. And, as a guy that's been around sports his whole life, 4 NFL teams, Youngstown State, Lackawanna High School.
10,000 golf courses.
7. you go in the locker room and you see, Mueller tape, Mueller wrap, everything else. So they've always been a part of my life.
Right.
And they support this game. And now they've got this tape now. This Typhoon kinesiology tape, which I even...
Toss it up in the back here. Toss me some tape over there.
Nestor, I even use this tape because I like to play golf a little bit. You mentioned my golf courses. It relieves pain. I wrap my elbow, my shoulder, whatever's hurting that morning. It's always something different. And these guys have a great product. You can get it at Walmart.com. It's available everywhere.
Alex Morgan, right there.
I actually use that stuff, and it works.
Ron Jaworski here. We're licking our wounds with the Ravens. You talk about Lamar, and let's go big picture as to what transpired here for an X's and O's guy that may or may not have looked at this and said, this is doable. Most football people looked at Lamar Jackson and said, I can't rip my whole team up for a kid that's going to run into linebackers because that's not going to work. Everybody passed. The Ravens decided to be, as John Harbaugh said, revolution. And it certainly looked that way until
it was a
Tennessee
revolution. I mean, there's a movement. Lamar Jackson's transformed the NFL, and it took the courage. It took the courage of John Harbaugh to say, you know what, we're going to change what we're doing. He had a hell of a run with Joe Flacco. You guys got a Vince Lombardi trophy in the showcase because of Joe Flacco.
And no one loves Joe more than you.
Yeah, Joe's
right?
a dear friend. I don't know what his future holds because he's concerned about the neck and is he going to play anymore? Only time will tell. But, when he brings a world champ to your city, you got to respect that. I know people respect the hell out of Joe Flacco. But it's hard to make a change. It's hard. John was very loyal to Joe. The organization was very loyal to Joe, but they saw the evolution of the game. They saw this movement going on in the game. And Lamar Jackson was available there 2 years ago for them. They made a gutsy call to bring that guy in. They worked him. They trained him in the offseason. His repetitive actually was so much better this year than it was 2 years ago. And John told me that himself, that the guy's gotten so much better because of his work in the offseason. And I love hearing that, Nestor. I love hearing a guy putting the time in the offseason to get better.
Well, that's probably what we're going to see here, right? Like, this kid's coming down here as a 22-year-old picking up an MVP trophy around, downstairs.
Yep. He's 23 now.
23 now. Okay. That's fair enough.
Hey, what's a year? Yeah.
2 weeks ago, he turned 23.
Well, this was his Super Bowl, right? I mean, this was a hometown, Miami, hometown for Hollywood Brown. Those guys aren't going to have that opportunity. Yeah. We didn't get a hometown in Buffalo Super Bowl for you. But
not yet.
We did get one for you. But I think he's going to come down there, and this is going to piss him off even more than the Chargers lost last year, right?
It will probably motivate him. I think that there's an evolution, not only in scheme and all that, but there's an evolution in the mentality of your team. And I think this team in Baltimore is probably pretty pissed off right now of what happened this year, of getting knocked out. I thought they were the best team. They should have been in the Super Bowl. They weren't. This will serve as motivation for next season.
Jaws, when you look at last year, Greg Roman talked about the Chargers' playoff loss and how they used that as kind of a learning experience as they went all in on the Lamar offense and rebuilding it from the ground up. When you see what happens against Tennessee in the playoff loss, no one's discounting what they did in the regular season. It was a record-setting offense. But when you look at that and now when you try to take this thing moving forward, John Harbaugh loves to quote Bo Schembechler, you're getting better, you're getting worse, you're not staying the same. If this offense is going to continue to stay a step ahead, what do you see that might be the next step in the evolution of this offense?
Greg Roman will continue to evolve the offense. And kind of an oh, by the way here, when the job at Penn State was open a few years back, when Bill O'Brien got the Penn State job, a good friend of mine headed up that committee by the name of Ira Luber. He was the chairman of the board at Penn State and a good friend of mine, and he reached out to me with some names to recommend that they interview. And one of those guys was Greg Roman.
Well, that was a tough time for Penn State, too.
It was a tough time. He was on the Stanford staff and the 49ers. And I just, being in this business like I am and doing Monday Night Football, you get production meetings, you talk to coaches, you get good insight. And I told them to interview Greg Roman, and they did. Because I know this guy can coach. Greg Roman can be a head coach someday. He's a phenomenal coordinator right now. I don't know what he's going to come up with next year, but there will be something. Because he will change. He will study. He will – the running game concepts, not everybody does what the Ravens did.
Right.
He brought those running game concepts. He brought Lamar Jackson to that offense and made a running quarterback an integral part of that. So Greg will come up with something that will change this offense for next year.
Ron Jaworski here for Mueller and the fantastic kinesiology therapeutic tape as well. You can find it all at Walmart.com as well. The Wounded Warriors game. All right, so relationships here. I know Andy a little. You know Andy a lot.
Yep.
Obviously, John Harbaugh is involved in all of this with
my God,
Spagnuolo.
yes, yeah.
I love me some Dave Tobe. Some thoughts about the emotions of all of this for people around. Hey, man, y'all got your Super Bowl in Philly a couple years ago, right? Like,
there you go.
I see
there
that.
You go.
I was wearing Eskins with the middle finger.
Oh,
but that's
man.
He wouldn't let me do it. But you got Andy hasn't gotten his, and I had Brian Billick by here. Everyone loves Andy. Maybe no one loves Andy more than John Harbaugh. From a togetherness standpoint for what it meant for his career. For Andy to get a ring here this week, I want to stick around to watch the confetti fall for that.
I think there are a lot of people that have been around this league for a long time that want to see Andy Reid win the Super Bowl. Andy Reid is good for the game. There are no coaches that are bad for the game, but Andy Reid is a special guy. He's won 207 games. 207.
And was never a coordinator.
Yeah, he went. He
went from quarterback coach, right?
Quarterback
literally.
coach. And we could tell stories about Andy Reid till the cows come home, but he is such a good person. And I got to know Andy on a personal level. We've actually been texting this week, and I don't know how he's finding time to respond to my texts, but he gets back to me, and he's well respected around the league. He is what he is. And what I learned in Philadelphia when he was coaching the Eagles is, he would go in front of the media like every Monday, like all the coaches do. And the Philadelphia media can be vicious at sometimes.
Really?
And Andy would never crack. Time's yours. He never gives us anything. Well, his job is not to give you something to write about or talk about. His job is to win football games and protect his players. He wasn't Chip Kelly going up in a press conference and throwing players under the bus. Andy was protective of the locker room, and I think that's what you have to be. You got a guy in Baltimore and John Harbaugh that learned that from Andy Reid. You protect your players. Those are the guys you go to battle with. You can't throw guys under the bus. Like, there are coaches around this league that do that. So I think Andy has ultimate respect of all 31 other head coaches in this league, as well as assistants on their staff.
You done with Jaworski? You got one
Come
more.
on, we got to have more.
Good to see you.
You guys
man.
are the best, man. Always good
Thanks,
to
Charles.
see you. You bet. Thank you,
Ron
guys.
Jaworski here for the Wounded Warriors and the friends at Mueller, as well as Walmart.com. Give him some love. We'll let Jaws get out of here and move along. He's got to go to Philadelphia and talk about how they lost this year. So go give him a hard time. Good seeing you, Jaws. All of our friends are out in the BuyAToyota.com audio vault 24 hours a day from anywhere in the world on your mobile device by downloading the TuneIn radio app. Big thanks to our friends at Sporticulture for making our set beautiful. A lot of folks have commented about.
So many comments. I mean, think about it. Everyone's got some swag that they bring, and you walk around here, you'll see different products, and guests are coming on with different things. But so many people. Hey, these are pretty neat. These little planters. I mean, people have compared it to the old, the old Bud Bowl thing they did years ago.
Rod signed the 49er one, which is really weird because he played like 5 minutes for the 49ers, right? He played 1 year.
1 season.
Yeah, but
right before he came to the Ravens.
I got to find somebody who played for the Kansas City Chiefs to sign the Magic Chiefs one. Neil Smith is going to be running around here as well. So, I'm trying to find – you know what? I thought Jaworski was a Chief. Jaworski was a Chief. 1989. Should I have Jaworski sign the Chiefs?
You could. It's just –
that's weird.
It's so odd if you're going to have Chiefs and 49ers. 49er Rod Woodson against Chief Ron Jaworski. Just what everyone thinks of when you think 49ers Chiefs.
Or just like Joe Montana when you think of the Chiefs.
Joe Montana at least was, he took him, he
played
had a couple good seasons. They made the playoffs, and they got to an AFC championship with him. But if you're going off guys just 1 year, it's tough.
Rofo makes the coffee, the Western fries, and the fried chicken happen down here as well. Some great sandwiches as well. I'm wearing my Rofo shirt, my I Love Rofo shirt, and everybody thinks I have some Floridian thing because it looks like one of the programs up here. It looks like Super Bowl 20 over there. But I am wearing my Rofo
fits
shirt.
Nicely for the area.
Big thanks to them, as well as Raskin Global, Leonard Raskin and our friends. Find them at RaskinGlobal.com. Oh, look, he's got the Raskin Global shirt on as well. I'm going to get you in the Sporticulture hat before it's all over with. And Liberty Pure, I'm drinking the water. Tell Doug to send more resources that I'm getting low on water. And the water does suck here, and they don't give us enough. And I think Luke and I are going to wind up doing a little bit about not having water on radio.
No one wants to hear our first world problems.
Peter DeLutis gave me 12 waters to bring down that I packed, and you're like, why are you packing the water? Because they have no water here. So I want to thank Doug Workman and our friends at Liberty Pure, because without them, I'd be thirsty. Yeah, I'd be very, very thirsty. We are WNST.net, AM 1570 at WNST Towson, Baltimore. We never stop talking to folks like Ron Jaworski and Baltimore Sports. From here at Super Bowl 54 in Miami,